have no idea what that was about. I don't know what I'm doing. The controls are all different. I don't know where I'm at. I'm lost in the woods, and I'm wearing a Friday the 13th beanie. I do not think I am the right person to be doing this, but we're going to do
I'm
it
lost.
anyway.
I'm confused, and I want ice cream.
That's why SQUEEKA's over there, because she's in charge.
Wait, no, oh no, we can't have that. Oh no, you don't want to put a mouse in charge. We do run the world, according to.
Oh, boss is here.
Oh,
I thought Loki. I thought you were doing just fine. Thought you were doing just fine.
Oh, not me. SQUEEKA's in charge. SQUEEKA's running.
Oh, cool.
No.
All right.
Oh, guys, look at the time. I gotta be going. Great movie, y'all.
She is the oldest among us, so it might be the best to just pass the keys. So
I can't believe you said that.
she says she's 186,000 years old or something.
That
Like
doesn't
that.
mean she's older than us. You never did. You never to say that to a woman, pops.
I don't.
I'm an eldritch horror.
What? Dear Lord. Dear Lord. How you guys doing? How's everything going out there, folks?
I'm in the woods wearing a Friday the 13th beanie.
I don't know what's
I would
happening
be worried.
with your look. It's a good look in a way. Yeah.
Is that a
All right.
Cobra Kai shirt? I mean, are
Yes,
you
it
ready
is.
to? See, but you got your skills. You're ready. You ready?
They call me Stingray.
Oh,
Yeah, just watch out for guys with machetes.
Yeah.
Watch out.
all right,
for
folks. I
guys
hope everybody's doing all right. Sorry, a little bit late. Shenanigans are afoot, of course. Nothing too much to be worried about. But on we go. So, but yeah, Excalibur. Yes, there we go. 1981. Great show. Great experience, man. Lots of memories for sure for me. So, SQUEEKA, was this your first time checking out the Excalibur?
Oh, yes, it was.
All right. So that's good to hear. Gonna be a fun experience for that. We'll be talking about that. IRONCASTER, my brother, how are things? Staying warm, I hope.
Oh yeah, just trying to. I mean, luckily the winners, luckily the Knights won't be getting down to 3 just yet, but that'll be Friday.
Oh my gosh. 3. Wow. Yeah.
I
Wow.
can't even process that temperature. Oh.
No, I cannot.
You see that's why I have the beard. It's for my own safety.
It does. I have a little bit of facial hair. It don't make a difference, man. No.
Well, eventually it freezes over, and then you have like a nice like layer of like permafrost to keep your face warm.
No thanks. I'm with Loki. No permafrost on this old man. No thanks. No shanks.
No permafrost on this old man either. Ugh. No.
Alright, fine. I'll just go ahead and put in the. I'll put in the antifreeze for the beard.
There we go. Loki, my friend, how's the permafrost treating you, my friend? Doing okay?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Foot is finally showing some signs of healing. So the bone that has been busted, it's called a Jones fracture. It's when it's like looks like a stupid wishbone that you didn't break right. The bone is finally like starting to come together and heal. So no surgery in March. Yay!
Awesome.
He was like, I do not know why you are worried about the surgery, my friend. I am the best surgeon you will ever have when it comes to your foot. Just a little incision. I'm like, no, absolutely, positively not. You should not be worried. I take very good care of you. I said, I believe you. I think you're the best doctor for the job, but I would rather you not cut open my foot and saw into my bone and do all the things that you're going to do. No, thank you. Please heal on your own. So yes, finally, we're getting there. Since June, since before that stupid hurricane came in and messed up Houston, I've had a broken foot. Finally, it's starting to. He's like, oh no, it's coming together now, my friend. All right, well, thank you very much. Loki update. There you go, everybody.
That's awesome.
You shouldn't go kicking people named Jones. You wouldn't get their fractures.
I know.
Yeah, that's a little close to home.
Pops, all this is alien over here. I'm like looking at like the chat on the left side. And
it's crazy, isn't it? It's just nuts. So it's a completely different dynamic. It has all these little caveats. I threw Loki to the fire, and Loki's like, I'll push like 2 or 3 buttons. I said, I don't have an intro, man. It's like multiple steps to add intros and stuff to EV Mux. So like you're setting up every single show with like intricate details of what you want done. So I'm
How I hit something spawn. I hit a spawn button or something.
yeah, that's the only one I could get to work on such short notice. But yeah, stuff in personal life messed up our timeline of getting things done, and it was like I wasn't even sure I could be here. And reality is, not going to work out for today, and hopefully tomorrow will work a little smoother. We'll see how it goes. Fingers are crossed. Fingers are
Well,
crossed.
every day is an opportunity to do just a little bit better. So
Yeah, and all that.
progress is not a goal; it is a journey.
Yeah, all that is beyond my control, to be perfectly honest. So it's just like, all right, let's just go and hang out and have some fun. And there we go. There we go. Well, holding down the fort, the Great White North, Chris Persia. Hail to the Tetrarchy of Talking Hard. Hail to you, Chris Persia. We love you, brother. Hope you're doing well and staying warm yourself. So let's see here. Kathy's showing in, throwing some love. We appreciate that very much. Great to see you. Of course, SQUEEKA's over here talking all sorts of shenanigans, of course. And there's Beard. Beard's doing some great things out there. Great to see him and SQUEEKA on Thursdays. Make sure you check that out and hear SQUEEKA laughing, shrieking, and squealing on a regular basis playing gaming with Beard. Made my day. Made my Thursday. I loved it. It was great. And my favorite is she gets all stressed out. At one point she goes, "Don't you know who I am? Don't you know?" Like, it was the best. It was the best.
Yeah, he was like, "You got this." I'm like, "Do you know who you're talking to?"
You know who you're talking to? You know who I am. I was like, it's great. And speaking of the lovely mouse, 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, SQUEEKA, man. I tell you what, she's keeping the lights on. She's running the show. We put her in charge because she's running the show. So that went to Mags, Matt, Iron Age Marketing. That sounds Kathy and Sean. So very cool to keep that out there. And yeah, great. Appreciate that so much. And speaking of Mags, the memberships actually show up on EV Mugs. Look at that.
Look
Did not
at
know
that.
Huh. Did they fix that on StreamYard? I don't think they did, right? No. Yeah. All right. So, all right. EV Mugs, you got a little heads up there. So that's good to know. Let's see here. Chris is saying thank you. It puts every single thing. So DJ Ronnie G is in the house. Great, my friend. Awesome. Brother, hope you're doing well. Haven't talked to you for a minute, so that's good.
We need customization. We need to be like, okay, move this over, take this from over here, and put it over there. Let's do this here. Da, 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 da. And the first person to do that with some streaming software.
Oh, it lets you do it, but you have to set it up. So again, we'll talk EVMux for a moment. On the left, there's something called Pro Scene, and in Pro Scene, you can manipulate every single layer, and you can click each little person. You can make the boxes bigger and smaller. It lets you do all sorts of crazy things. So what we're used to is considered the top, which is the dynamic scene, but you can go into Pro Scene. I've only done it once, and it was like I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. So that's why.
Oh no!
Yeah, I got into my dynamic scene, and then I got into my Pro Scene, and I couldn't get back to my dynamic scene. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of stuck. So there was like an overlay and everything. Like, oh, okay. So yeah, again, it seems like it has a lot of cool stuff, and we'll play with the bottom row because we'll share a screen, and then we can we'll push all sorts of buttons and have some fun with the old Excalibur experience. So,
Like I will say with EVMux, one neat little feature is the fact that I can send him a little private message just to like LOKI, and then SQUEEKA can't see it, so we can like gossip about her.
all right,
Gossip away, man. Go for it.
all right, didn't know that was the thing. Oh, I see private chat, but I don't really have any messages, so must not.
Oh no!
To be clear, they're playing 7 Days to Die, not games. Good point, I guess. All right, fair enough.
Y'all like that? 7 Days to Die.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's like an adult open sandbox because it's zombies and not just Minecraft. I have a good time, except for when I get attacked by a gazillion zombies. But other than that, it's all right.
Yeah, she was attacked, and it was funny.
It's all funny. I open safes funny. Apparently, it's all funny.
One land, one king. This is my peace, Cornwall. Anyway, sorry.
I love
You're gonna
this
get
movie.
quotes. You're gonna get quotes from me through the whole thing. Anal natrak udvas betar.
I put one of the quotes in my profile. I loved it so much.
Fiel
Some a
yen.
dream, to others a nightmare. Or that one.
So we get too far into the weeds with this one. Let's just say that kudos to the director, John Boorman, who is like one of us, a fan of Tolkien, a fan of this type of literature. He's just a director and creator that wanted to just break barriers and do different things. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have gotten this mess. They wouldn't approve, couldn't get rights for Lord of the Rings. That's how the animated Lord of the Rings got made shortly after this came out. That's why this movie is like so radically dense, full of stuff from Thomas Mallory, basically. And it's like, I think Loki and I were talking about it just before this. We are conveying things, and we're talking about at least 2 movies are crammed into this, right? We're looking.
Yep.
We could concur at least 2 movies. You almost feel like you could do a trilogy in this. There's so much going on. I don't know, Ironcaster, you're kind of this rabbit hole with down your ballywick. What do you think about that?
And that is sort of my takeaway from the film. Is frankly, there's just so much you have to cover when it comes, especially comes to the Arthurian myth. Like you have the origin story of his of his literal inception. You have all the stuff with Merlin, who's become this legendary figure in his own right, in a way almost separate from all of Arthur and his adventures with the Knights of the Round Table. You have just all these little elements that have come into it that, in a way, it almost feels like there's almost too much stuff to try to work in. You have so many legendary characters that have transgressed centuries of time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that assessment. That's kind of what our assessment was, right, Loki? It's just the second half of this movie is almost like scrambled, and then they're shortened because they run out of time, right? So it's like you get like a 10-minute. It's not even 10 minutes. There's like one scene where Percival's talking to Arthur, and it's like a couple lines, and then you're moving on to something else, and you're like, okay, hold on, that just went by. We needed to flesh that out, and it was like they don't have time for that. So
this is what I was thinking about after we had that conversation. This is what I was like, okay, you take the story of Uther and Igraine and you do that to completion. That's the first half of the first movie. And then you do Arthur's progression from child to when he gets knighted. Basically, do it when he gets knighted and do like the follow up, the party after that, and then let people wonder where you're going. Second movie, pick up with him marrying him meeting Lancelot and then marrying Guinevere. And you carry that all the way up until his sister betrays him and captures Merlin and freezes him in the underground dragon pit. Then you do the third movie with Morgan's with his birth or Mordred's birth up until the resurgence of Arthur and that final battle. You've got 3 solid movies there that people will want to see the conclusion of. But they would never let him do that. So he just went with everything he had. A beautiful shot of Patrick Stewart standing in front of Excalibur about to try and pull it from the stone. Did he ever have hair? Ever? Has anybody ever seen him with hair on the top?
I've never
of his
seen
head?
any evidence that he had hair. So I guess we could. Let's put this on the to-do list in case you get to ever interview or talk to anyone like Paul Jeffrey or maybe Liam Neeson or something. It's like, did he ever have hair? Did he ever have hair? So
It's one of those urban legends. Like rumors say that someone once saw Patrick Stewart with hair, but he was never seen again.
let's see
I
here.
agree
Was
with
it-
you, Loki. I think that would have been an excellent 3 series of movies, especially
Yeah.
with this cast and I think, yeah, that's a really good set of breaks right there.
Oh, absolutely. You need to make the core element of ultimately the first movie the build up to drawing the sword, and then from there he's got to have his initial fight or so, to where maybe we end with like I don't know, just that initial like him being knighted and him becoming this man who has finally drawn people around him. At that
think
point,
you would-
that is the peak of what should be a first movie.
I
think
certainly
you-
would have liked to flesh out of some of the knights a little more too. Like, you know what I mean? Like to complement the story, just flesh out a couple of the key ones here and there. But because I feel like some of them we only see for 5 minutes, but they have such an important, like Percival, piece of the story. Yeah, I would have liked a little bit more of them.
I would
And
have.
all of this, this scene. If you grew up listening to any of these stories, this is like one of the most powerful scenes in the entire movie. Who doesn't know? In the name of God, Saint Michael and Saint George, I give you the right to bear arms and the power to meet justice. And you're like, yeah, to be knighted. And all of it is this grand affair of armor and swords and chivalry and nobility and destiny and damn, all in one movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I would have probably ended my first or built my first movie, figured out a way of kind of reorienting things a little bit. So the first movie would at least been that scene with the round table. It's fast and it moves quickly in this movie, but I think you could have just kind of like ended on that kind of high note and then come back and then told some more backstory, especially about the other knights, like what SQUEEKA was saying, and then pull forward. But all right, so Beard's pointing out, yep, this is before PG-13. This was hard for PG. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was heavy hitting. The
Yeah,
arm,
bush.
when dude loses an arm, there's all kinds of nakedity going on.
Not just nakedity, but like, you know, heavy hitting nakedity.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So have you ever?
there's
go
a
ahead.
few screenshots on the website on my screenshot site here where I frankly cannot show them on screen.
You know, it's weird too, because like that's his daughter, dude. That's like John Boorman's daughter. And the best part, Gabriel Byrne, if you ever look it up, Gabriel Byrne has talked about it. And there's a cut, right? And she's escorted away. They cover her up or whatever. And he's there, and he has like a little pink pillow or whatever. He goes and he talks about, I had to hump on my little pink pillow for like an hour while they're filming this. Just like, what? Hollywood behind the scenes is so strange sometimes. And this is like the 80s. Like, there's no money for sci-fi. There's no real, like, it just, you know, Sword and the Sorceries. I mean, this and Conan is really the only thing that kind of like laid this massive foundation for like the normies. Because even I, like coming from like a normie family, we drugged to see Sword and the Sorcerer because of who was in it. But yeah, Excalibur was massive fun. I mean, it was such a big deal. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So, yeah, this is Patrick Stewart. Bald and ran with it, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bald by 19.
And so much of this is all coming out like right at the same time, because didn't Excalibur come out like the same year as like Clash of the Titans? This is right when all of the Sword and Sandal films really kicked off and set an entire decade of that little subgenre of, you know, niche entertainment.
Yep. So Clash of the Titans was the same year. Conan is, I believe, the next year as well. So we just kind of get a little run here of 3, 4, 5 of these. Some things I think we were allowed to kind of see in theaters. Others we weren't. It was a little. I don't know. I told Loki, I said, you know, it's funny because I didn't really see this in theaters. But I actually remember seeing this very vividly. My uncle, the whole story I've talked about a couple of times. He had served in Korea, came back, had this Betamax collection of all these videos that had basically been pirated, three to a tape. And that's when I saw this movie, and I was blown away. I'm like, what is this? And then I watched it probably like a dozen times in the course of the next year or two. Like, wow, this is crazy good. So, yeah. They're talking about Picard. They're still talking, Patrick, that he was going bald in high school, and a couple students who were losing hair. Yeah. All right. Well, you know, happens to some folks.
You know, of all the little scenes that really stood out to me, and it's from early in the film, it's, you know, some of like the dancing, for example, where we have the wars come to an end, and it just it was just this, you know, great little scene.
Biblical scene.
Mm-hmm.
Total biblical scene. So the famous Salome scene, like in the Bible, is exact. This movie is full of theology. It's a very, very religious movie in a lot of ways. A lot of the metaphors are all there for the cycle of life and philosophy, and yeah, this is literally right out of that sequence in the Bible, in my opinion, are very inspired by the same kind of premise with what they're going for here. I don't know. Loki, you know more about the Arthurian part of the parallels there?
Okay, so you've got stuff that's steeped in actual history, and then you've got stuff that's like biblical, and then you have books that came out where they interpreted it this way. Or there's a lot of stuff you have got to put together. Some people say the Grail was this beautiful cup. Some say it was a gem. Some say it was and it got merged with Christianity. So there's all kinds of stuff that's like this whole different aspect. As far as I'm concerned, this is so far the closest we got to something that possibly could have happened.
Yeah, it feels real grounded, right? SQUEEKA?
It does.
To add to that, the mythos that kind of merges with this is the Celtic mythology, because there's Bridget was one of the most important deities in Celtic mythology, and a lot of historians believe that the Holy Grail, especially around the England area, is the conversion of her cauldron. On top of that, she did have a very famous mythological sword that was her father's sword. That was a sword that went from war to peace, because she gave it to a leper, and so he could buy food, sell it, and buy food and medicines and stuff for his family. So and she kind of got a little flack for that, and like, this is a weapon of war. And she's like, well, but look, I can turn it into something of peace by letting someone else use it for something good. So I feel like there's a lot of that tie-in too of the switch from the old religion, and Merlin even talks about this, that old religion into Christianity, and so we see a lot of crossover of themes, such as the sword coming and going, the search for the childless, and the what it represents necessarily. Like Bridget's cauldron was the cauldron of plenty. It did make the fields prosper. It did heal the sick, things like that. So I feel like it was a good crossover, especially for the Arthurian times, of that Celtic versus Christianity time merge at the time.
And just as a little added bonus to what SQUEEKA said, this cup is in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It is up on the dais where all the other cups are at. So if you pay attention to that scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, you will see the cup that's in this movie and that movie.
I agree, Daryl. I loved Merlin. I loved Merlin so much. I want to watch this again just for Merlin. Like,
Yeah,
I
Nicol
loved him.
Williamson is, oh my God, he's just incredible. And who said it? Did Beard say, "Where'd the salad bowl"? Who said that? Who's talking crazy?
Beard.
So,
Yeah, Beard.
that actually went up for auction, brother. So it's a couple years ago. There's a company out in London called the Prop Shop, and the Prop Shop was able to auction off. They got it from the director. He had this stuff, right? So James Boorman had put it out there, and he submitted Merlin's, or one of the Merlin helmets. Like, it's not, there were more than one, obviously, and it was a gift from Williams. So he signed it and whatever, and he gave it back to the director and the producer. So he had it. He put that up. The other thing that was even more exciting at the time was he had the Mordred helmet, which everybody thought was even lost, but John had it. So those two things went up for auction, and you can see that video on YouTube. So yeah, I've seen that. I love the Prop Shop stuff. Those guys, man, interacting with them and the stuff that they take is just, it's insane. So, but they even come to like local shows. So if you ever go to like mega cons, or if you go to San Diego, whatever, you're going to find Prop Shop stuff there. You can go to Prop Shop stuff and buy stuff. They just, it's like, it's the real stuff, man. So it's not cheap, but yeah. But yeah, Merlin is fantastic, and it's one of those things, because you were only able to watch it once, SQUEEKA.
Yes, I will watch it again though.
Yeah, you're. Sometimes, we encourage you to rewatch the ones you like again. This is going to be one when you rewatch, especially that first half of the movie, you're going to get so much more, because you've kind of got more context and the who's and the what's what, and yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
I just love the way he would go from like really serious to like, I'm tossing you, go to sleep. Like, wait, what?
Well,
Rest in the arms of the dragon. Dream.
There's a great way he goes about kind of telling some of his lessons, like where he's busy kind of capturing this fish, and he's using it as an opportunity to teach Arthur that you're not going to always be the best. Sometimes you just have to be a little more clever than your opponent in order to win. And Arthur just doesn't listen to him.
There's always someone better than yourself.
It's and it just lends itself to go full circle to what we were saying earlier. Like, we really wish this was his own movie. That first part, the Arthur part, just, and that's what we do see with the, and I'm not gonna, I don't know, I don't care. They can't take OG Disney from me, folks. Screw them. I love Sword in the Stone. Mrs. Pops and I are two that we really always enjoyed that one a lot. And I always thought the Merlin Arthur dynamic in Sword in the Stone really was fun and sweet and kind of gets you down that avenue with life lesson stuff. Because when I was with my boys and they were like, 6 and 7 and we're watching Sword in the Stone or whatever, it was like a gateway to watching Arthurian stuff. So yeah, love it.
This is actually a really good timing for me because I had just picked up a collection of the Arthurian myths and legends, so this is, just kind of picking up on the stories that I've just started reading through for myself for the first time.
Very cool.
And
Very cool.
I'm happy for it.
This is when he broke it, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the great. This is just such a pivotal moment, right? My pride broke it, my rage broke it. Excellent knight who fought for fairness and grace. Ah, so good. I am nothing. Yes.
Well,
I like that. Go ahead. Sorry.
It goes to show you just how all the romanticization that has gone into these myths of the Arthurian knights. How how Arthur is supposed to be this reflection of, in a way, that perfect idea of chivalry. That these are the ways that knights should be. That these are people that you should try to emulate and try to compare yourself to be. Like, to be as great as Lancelot, to be as great a leader as Arthur, to be as, dedicated as Percival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And that's what, SQUEEKA, you were saying earlier too, where some of them have these great qualities and moments and key contributions, but then they're just like, they're just gone. Their actual screen time in the whole movie is like 8 minutes, and you're like, I need like 20 minutes. I need like a lot more meat on the bone to really soak this up. So it's so good.
Well, and I liked how this scene kind of transitioned him more from the Arthur he was to, and the son of his father, basically, to the Arthur he would become.
Right.
Like you can see the anger and the fighting, but then the look on his face when the sword's broken. Like, I feel like this is a good transition phase, and there was a couple of them throughout the movie, but I like y'all said, this would have been so much better broken up to not have so many of these transitions jam-packed into one space.
Agreed. All right, I'm not punishing you, Ironcaster. I'm just taking this down for 1 second. Okay. So bear with me for a minute. So PSA moment. Solis House is bringing up Sword in the Stone. Do I like Black Cauldron? So full on confession with the whole Disney thing. First of the year, cleaning the house, redoing everything. All of the Disney that we own has been put into the back of the shelf. There will be no Disney available for the grandkids. They don't ask for it anyway. We did some comparing of the notes, and literally in the last 18 months to 2 years, they've only asked to watch like 4 things ever. And I actually blame my daughter for one of them, because I believe she was watching Tangled because she was watching them, and that's her favorite fairy tale. So I actually pull them all aside, alphabetize them all, can make my list of which ones we may or may not have, because we have, nearly everything. And I talk about they don't get to steal my OG Disney from me. I'm sorry, I don't really want to watch it right now, but they don't get to take it. And I have nearly everything, including like Song of the South. I have a copy of Song of the South. So, but yeah, good stuff's out there. We don't have to. But nope, they will have everything else at access. It literally was like 80 other movies got moved right up to the front of the line for them to pick from. So I'm super excited. So, but yeah, this was some great comments for sure. Was here. I like that. Yeah, it is so important and so great to see. And hey to all of you. I know so many of you come here, Soul Sassman, and say hi. Claude, Jacob Ironside. So many of you have been coming and going. I'm sorry. I'm with Loki. It's a little hard to get used to everything being on the opposite side of the screen and what have you. So let's get back to the show. Let's see. I got to click this button, and then I got to move this over here. This over here. There you go. Ooh.
There's so many things to push, buttons and things and stuff.
It's not great for the person that's got some ADD and OCD. Like it's a rough, isn't it, Loki? Come on, you're like with all the pictures and the buttons and the Yeah, it's a little
Oh
crazy.
yeah, you recognize the idea here, but it's also like everything's not where it should be.
Not where it should be. I know we're spoiled with how we were doing it, but yeah.
That scene with the sword, it goes to what Daryl was saying earlier about the special effects. And one of the things that I loved was the green light that appeared when
Mhm.
the sword appeared, and then when things were going downhill or the sword was used improperly, it didn't appear. I loved that little touch, that little green glow that things had.
That's the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the dragon that Merlin talks about. That's the dragon in the cave. That is the dragon kind of following them along in the sword.
It's the green dragon of Valhalla, is it?
It's the green dragon.
And we love you, Squeaky. Look at you catching that kind of detail and metaphor in your first viewing. Oh, you're just so impressive, so sweet, so awesome. I actually am just like, even in 1981, $11 million budget, this movie. All right, does everybody think that aged pretty well, or am I just too spoiled because of when I watched it? I think it aged really, really well.
I think it aged great. And like I've said before, I love these older movies because I miss the dirtiness of them. They're not
Yes.
afraid to show the grime and the dirt on the characters. Like it doesn't feel perfect. And I love that. Like they feel more real to me.
Yep.
Oh,
No,
everything right there. Yeah.
I agree with you in terms of like the visuals and the effects. It holds up remarkably well. But the only place the struggle comes in is again just the fact that we have so much stuff to fit into this 2.5 hours.
Yeah, everything is practical. Obviously, there's a real suit, real mud. I mean, he had to fight hard for like some real life, sex, violence, grittiness. He didn't want to make a Uber family. He didn't want to soften it down. He wanted to make something very edgy. And kudos to him, man. This is a great watch. And I actually just kept watching the scene, especially with Merlin, waiting for some weird, cheeky, if you will, like special effect or something. And I'm thinking to myself, Terminator has cheekier special effects, the original 84 Terminator, than this movie does. I'm like,
It's because
How's that
they
go?
did magic. They did magic right. It's almost the
Yeah.
same way they did for Gandalf in Fellowship. He's never like oh I'm gonna set this on fire, or lightning's gonna shoot down out of my hand or anything like that. I mean, what did Merlin do? He lit his staff on fire once. He called some fog. He chanted some reverse Latin, which is what that all that anana thrak with the vasbe. It's supposed to be reverse Latin spoken backwards.
Well, and I liked the fact that his magic was so simple, and
Yeah.
yet when you get to Morgana, like when Mordred's born and the things she does, it is intense and it feels off, and it's like it does feel a little more hokey. Like, excuse me, what's going on here? And I loved that they purposely did that to show you like this is the perfection of it, and yet hers is really skewed.
Because he's supposed to. Okay, it never says this in the movie. It never tells you this. But Merlin's supposed to be aging in reverse. So Merlin goes through time backwards. At least that's supposedly what he ages back. So Merlin's supposed to know everything from before and after. It's really weird. But that's one of the things that they never ever talk about in the movie. That's in a lot of the books, is that Merlin's supposed to be from the future and aged backwards. Um, he doesn't, like you said, it's like simple. I called a fog. I'll weave a mist. Merlin, where are you? And he does his thing, and it's perfect. It's just enough. It is just enough that it looks good, it sounds good, and it's nothing hokey. Now the lighter in his staff, that you can see him like hit the button and click it, but it's so quick that you could miss it. You could blink and miss it. Um, That's the only thing that's ever off is when he turns that lighter on his staff.
Ironcaster, when you had that battle sequence pulled up, is that from the beginning of the movie?
Uh, yes. Oh, well,
Yeah.
actually, what I had up here was when after all the battles are done, when they've come to decide, we will have a round table.
We will meet at a round table, and there will be a hole around the table, and a castle around the hole.
The battle sequences are great in this movie. I did want to just, again, point of trivia. I'm kind of an Excalibur nerd when it comes to this, just because, again, I love the concept of like making a movie like this, like you guys were saying, using practical effects and all this other stuff. It's like, I guess the first I think it's the very first battle, which is, obviously before Arthur, but they overexposed the film, so it had to be shot multiple times, and the person, I want to say one of the cameramen, he just quit. He just done, just quit right on the spot. Like I guess they did their shoot, they got their scene, and it's like, no, we got to do it again because they overexposed the film and messed up the film. And the third time or whatever, he just like walked off the job. So I just found stories like that to make me laugh. It came up in like one of my shorts when I was, down the Excalibur rabbit hole on YouTube, and I was like, oh, it's freaking great. This makes me hysterical. So,
Well, during the battle scene, so Beard and I were watching this together, so it was actually him who noticed first. He was like, some of those hits were, I mean, they were legit heavy hitting. Like some of the like prop swords were bending, or like I feel like things broke that shouldn't have broken. And there was that one jousting scene, Lancelot, that he almost took out one of the crowd people. Like they went all in on the fighting on this movie for sure.
I think the other two thing you get is because they're using whatever armor that they make, because the British armor did such an incredible job. When they'd fall off these horses, so it would just nearly kill you, just getting knocked off the horse. Just the weight of the armor and how it would land on you and crush you, and yeah. So I think this movie definitely conveys that a lot better than some of the others for sure. So, oh man, this is beautiful.
It looks so good for the camera that you could see the weight right there, because this isn't just like, oh, this isn't just some plastic we pumped into a mold and we pumped out like 30 of these. No, there were people being paid to fabricate armor.
And that's the way
Yeah.
they did it in Lord of the Rings trilogy. They fabricated all the armor, all the weapons, all the everything. And that's what you do. You don't do T-shirts, folks.
No.
Well, and I like that the armor changed. Like it went from the dark to the shiny, and then when Arthur failed, it turned tarnished and dark again. Like it's stuff like that's those small things that I mean that they paid attention to. It wasn't just, oh look, they have shiny armor throughout the whole movie and never get dirty or never get broken.
And kudos to them for the lighting for these key up close scenes like this, like the wedding, where the armor is also shiny, and it almost seems like it's all kind of, almost like we put a bunch of Vaseline over the lens to really kind of smear it in. It's like, no, this is all just the glow coming off of everything. It seems so
Heavenly.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautifully shot film. Let me look and see. Did it get an Oscar nod or anything for cinematography? Surely, I think it did, right? I think it got a.
I'll give it one.
I thought it had a couple Oscar nods, but best cinematography, yeah, he did. Alex Thompson.
What are they gonna do with a guy named Oscar though?
Well, he could be a knight, and there you go. So.
They were snubs back then too.
Oh yeah, well, it was.
This movie wasn't like a hugely popular movie from the critics. A bunch of them didn't like it.
Yeah, and we'll get to my critique on it because I think I'm aligned with where those critics are coming from. But I think we're a lot more forgiving of this now than we were then. So, we rewind the clock 40-something years, non-conventional storytelling and not having 3 acts and things like that. That's where they were coming from. So, but I don't remember anyone panning this movie at the time. It's not like Blade Runner or The Thing where people just didn't get it. I mean, you have major critics, right? It wasn't even Siskel and Ebert like bashing on The Thing, Loki. Didn't we talk about didn't they even like bash The Thing?
Yep. Yes, it did.
Yeah. And Siskel hated horror movies. He just was not into horror movies. He hated like Halloween and Friday the 13th and stuff like that. He just doesn't like horror movies. So, but
Well, the thing is, movies like this are made for that genre entertainment. These are the films that people want to go to because they're super into these things. These are films for like a passionate crowd where they're gonna have every single one of these movies. There is, just like horror movies have their own particular audience. Like there is just that core group of people out there who are gonna come to these films no matter what.
but this is the kind of film that made that happen. I'm
right.
trying to say like Halloween is the film that made the slasher movie. I mean, there were slasher movies before Halloween. We're going to talk about Black Christmas in December, right? It kind of predates Halloween is sort of like the concept of a slasher movie, but it made that happen. Excalibur with Conan really laid the groundwork for this to not be some niche concept thing. It become like a massive fandom. And then when you pack in the fact that D&D is exploding on the scene at the same time, and then you get all of those little, I don't want to say B movies, but you get the other sword and sandals that are less quality, less in silly, like Sword and the Sorcerer is definitely more silly. But this scene, oh my gosh, with the round table, oh,
Oh yeah, I loved this scene.
beautiful shot. So
They're
And
the
just
stuff
that
that
clean. Oh, so good.
they're the stuff that are just made to be like spray painted on the side of like a van somewhere. Everyone should have a wizard van.
Wizard fans, great. Daryl's hating on Siskel. You're not allowed to hate on Siskel and Ebert. That was their thing. Like I get it. I mean, I run in the critic circles. I can usually understand where they're coming from. Critics now is a completely different thing. Siskel and Ebert would not be allowed to be in the club. They're way
No.
too normal. They're way too practical, and they would call out agenda movies. They'd call out because they would call out those agenda movies like, "Who is this made for?" Like 2% of the audience. Like, who are you making this for? You? Like, they would have called that crap out. So, no, they were. I mean, like Siskel was honest. He's like There are whole videos you can search for videos where it's like Siskel liked them, Ebert hated them, and vice versa. And usually in genre, like you can say, so and so liked Friday the 13th, the other one did, or I don't know which ones were it, but they would feud over all of it. Them feuding was the fun of it. Like you actually had two people who would just be pretty honest. So I loved it. Let's see. Oh, favorite movie. There we go. It's definitely one. There's a lot of folks that have this in sort of like top tier, especially if you're a fan of that genre, like you were saying, IRONCASTER. If you got sword and sandal people out there that are into this kind of movies, Excalibur has to be top 5. I don't understand how it wouldn't be, but
And one of the things that in a way kind of stands out to me is just the amount of, kind of not as overt, not showing as much off of it, but the amount of male nudity that we get out of this film. I don't know if you want me to pull up the Lancelot scene where he's having his nightmares.
yeah, I think we probably have to be a little cautious on some of the scenes that we pull up or some of the imagery that we pull up. But I think the movie, he went as hard as he could to push the boundaries and what he could get away with at the time. Like you could understand that the 70s into the 80s, a few boobs here and there you didn't lose your PG rating. And this they were more concerned about language. Like, to be honest, I grew up in an era where using curse words was a bigger deal in a lot of ways than a boob. Like it's so strange watching movies from this era. And
Or
know
losing
what?
an arm. Like that guy like gets his arm chopped off and there's
Yeah,
blood
so what?
spurting out and
You
it's
know what I
like
mean? No one cares. But if
You know
if
what?
yeah.
I can see me and you, Pops, in a conversation making this movie,
Mhm.
and me going, just keep him in the armor. What do you mean keep him in the armor? Well, if he's in the armor, she's, butt naked, they can't nail us for anything because he's in the armor.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, we know what's going on. He's in the armor. He didn't
He's
bother
in the
taking the
armor.
armor off. Like it's it, right? And then the nightmare scene is a little odd and whatever, but I mean at least no, I don't think I'll stand by that. I think that really, an F-bomb or something like that would have been a bigger issue in this era. It's like a bigger thing for parents. Like we were lectured so much about our language. Yeah, the boob thing, not so much.
There you go. That's about. There you go, SQUEEKA. You get a couple seconds of that.
okay.
He's been impaled by a
sword.
sword.
which really amazed me. Where it looks so realistic. Like the leg is turned over. He's curled up. He's in this pain, imagining himself having fallen onto his own weapon. Well, no, he actually did.
And that's a painful spot too, man. Ouch.
Here, we'll take that off because that looks really painful.
All right. Considering it had, hold on, I gotta get used to this too. It has a magnifying glass. Loki, you put up a comment. You can put a magnifying glass. I can actually read it. Considering it had a cutting off limbs and stuff, I was surprised that even in Germany they showed it on Easter weekend in the middle of the day on TV. Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, it had that PG rating.
Yeah, it was PG.
Okay, so
They cut the boobs out for TV. You know, there'd be a couple of I mean, and again, they didn't cut it out or edit it for it to make sense, right, Loki? They just cut it like all sorts of weird cuts. They just didn't care.
So I had seen this movie like once or twice, and I just got the ability to do Columbia House on my own. I could just order it on my own. If anybody doesn't know what Columbia House is, look it up. It was absolutely stupid. But you got like, eight movies, 8 VHS movies for free. Then you paid like $1 for 2 of them. And then you had to pay like $20, which was outrageous at the time. $20 for your other movies. It's one of the first movies I ordered. Put on the list. Why? Because I hadn't turned 18 yet. And I could order up to PG-13. I couldn't order any rated R movies. And I knew, I want this movie.
He knows.
I want this.
He promised his dad that he'd keep the armor on.
Yeah. And we watched
Sorry,
this
you
movie.
set yourself up for that one.
Me and my buddies watched this movie so many times that when Ready Player One came out, a friend of mine that had not called me in like 10 years phoned me. And I was like, oh, what the hell do they want? I'm talking to them. Hello? And he goes, dude, I was watching this movie.
Rock.
And guess what they said? I said,
They
what? He goes,
quoted it.
Anal natrak ud vas bepad doth yel yende. I said,
Yep.
oh, you watched Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, what was that movie with the wizard? And I was like, it's Excalibur, dumbass. How did he get this number?
That is so awesome. Hail, Princess Leia Rose. How are you? Hope you're doing well. And hail to Snorty. Snorty made it. So Daryl's still on the collection list for Columbia House. Yeah, that sounds right. That tracks, Daryl. No offense, but that tracks. That tracks.
Pictured here is Loki, of course, answering the phone, wondering, how did you get this number?
How did you get my number?
That is perfect.
I said charm of making. What's this? Mm-hmm. So good.
This is the how did you not remember Excalibur face?
Rest in the arms of the dragon. Dream.
I want to make sure we don't get lost on time. Can you pull up a couple shots of some of the famous celebrities? Because obviously this is everything about what John Boorman did here. It was kind of like non-traditional, right? So filming only in Ireland, he ended up with like all of these incredible actors who were just not anybody yet. I mean, Patrick Stewart is a Brit, but Liam Neeson, Helen Mirren, Gabriel Byrne, Karen Hines. We can just keep going and going and going. And it's just like, it's remarkable. Just remarkable. This film is so underrated in that regard. And I think
and that's one of the great things about a lot of these movies, especially because you almost never know, especially at the time, who's going to blow up as an actor, what their next gig is. So there's always that surprise of what you're going to see in the next movie, or where you're going to see this person next.
And it was just a different time. Like blowing up and becoming famous back then, it's just so different. Like Liam Neeson I've heard him say it multiple times. He thought they were all going to be like rock stars now, because he just thought this was a great movie. He thought it would just blow up and be such a massive thing, and from England and America and whatever. And it's just like, didn't work out that way. Not that it didn't work out eventually, just didn't work out like that. So, yeah, he said it multiple times. Yeah, it's fascinating. It really is.
Didn't Liam Neeson date Helen Mirren?
Oh, they. Oh, let me quote. Let me. I can actually quote this because she actually says it in their conversation when they're reflecting on it. She says, "We didn't date. We lived together for like 4 years." But I guess she came out and she was in that gown from the beginning of the movie. Like she's this beautiful shot, whatever, in the light, and her and he and Kieran were standing there because they were super close friends, and he just goes, "Oh f," and then he shares that story with her, and she says something like, "Oh, that's so sweet. You never shared that story with me. You never." So it was really fun. I think that is Graham Norton's show. I think is that how you say his name? He's in Britain. He's a British show. It's
Graham
freaking
Norton.
great. Yeah, it's a great show. If you look at that up, they're on that show together. I've seen that clip as well. So that it is sweet seeing them interact like that. And if you haven't seen pictures of her around 1980, oh dear Lord. Holy cow. And Daryl, this is such a valid point too. The soundtrack music, that Wagner,
Yeah.
man,
I
I
want the
tell you
soundtrack
what.
so bad. It was awesome.
It
Oh
is right
my
behind me
gosh.
somewhere up on a shelf in record format.
And
These are the movies that make me want to go out and collect more vinyl soundtracks.
this
Or that's
is
like
just
to the point that like half my collection is just movie soundtracks practically.
yeah, and scores. Just finding scores are so good. I actually to this day I had gotten rid of my little cassette tape, Loki, back in the day, Columbia House. I had the soundtrack for Arachnophobia, and it has this one track on this freaking stupid score, and it was just this perfect mood. It's just this great song. I don't have a copy of it. I got to find a copy of it. But Daryl, it's the best, man. It's so good. It lights up, man. It's fire for sure. The gold armor, I know, freaking nuts. Dot Matrix for sure. C-3PO and Dot Matrix, man. Yeah. Thank you very much. You don't like the suit? You don't like the costume? I like it. I think that the point is that it's over the top, and you shouldn't take him serious. But he's such a good. I guess we can call him a villain, right?
Oh
He's
yeah.
the antagonist. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's like this naughty little monster, but yeah.
He is the spoiled brat that was told, "Don't worry about daddy. Mommy's going to give you everything."
Yeah.
And when he goes to claim his inheritance and say, "Dad, it's over. I'm going to take you out and claim my inheritance," Dad was like, "No, you little whippersnapper. I will take you with me."
Oh man, and that emotional moment where he says something about all I can do is offer you my love.
Your love is the one thing I don't want from you.
Oh, so freaking good though, man. Oh, it's such a great script.
It does such a great job of showing you just all these different phases of Arthur's life. There's Arthur the boy, Arthur the would be king, the king himself, and then Arthur the father.
Yeah. Squeeka, what was your thoughts on the old gold costume and helmet and such?
I was with Beard on this. I thought it was way over the top, and I have to confess I kind of giggled the first time I saw him in the forest with his when he was a little boy and his helmet on. Like what? Like who designed that? Like who wanted him to have the curly top and the it almost looked Chinese, like ancient Chinese kind of stylization, but yeah.
But within the
Always
context of the
got
story, it
like
And
a
makes sense, right? Because of the mother being a wackadoo.
Yeah, and then at the end when he's wearing it and his helmet's off, it's so overcompensating. It's like you can tell that the armor is like way bulky. I mean, is there like 8 million shirts between him and the armor because it's so bulky? And then he's got this tiny neck and this tiny head sticking out of this big huge armor. It was I laughed. I laughed for a good while.
I thought it was kind of Roman. I got more like a Greek or Roman
Yeah, Greek for
feel.
sure. It looks more like a theatrical type helmet, like something they would wear as a mask to play a villain in a Greek tragedy. And it's that over the top feel for sure that they're going with. because of Mommy Dearest, like you said. Look, it's just perfectly, that's what Morgana would want. Just this, he, and yeah. But I get it. It is ludicrous. It is obnoxious, especially in an era again because of her power and how she rises. There's nothing but famine and pestilence that takes over her land, and her little spoiled brat sons running around in this gold armor. It's like, oh, talk about, yeah. Oh, ancient Chinese secret. That's freaking great, Daryl. What a great reference. That's an inside lane right there. That's a deep cut. Oh, here's a four. Does it look like Warhammer 40K?
A little bit.
Okay, cool. Thanks for keeping me up to date.
It's not Chinese. It's Buddha. It's the little curls of the. That's what I'm thinking of.
A little Bula belly guy.
Yes, like you know how the Buddha statues like in Journey to the West, like where he's coming down from the sky, where it's got the little hat and the little curls coming down the side. I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Here you go. Like, I would say for the one critique among probably many I could probably give is the chain beard is a bit much.
That's to protect his neck. Come on.
Oh, right,
He
and
has
his
his own beard.
It's his own permafrost, that's right.
It's hysterical. I will admit it is, but in the context of this, in this era of movies, when you watch Clash of the Titans and Sword and the Sorcerer and the Conan movies, and you watch all these, and you're like, yeah, it's freaking great. It's hysterical. It's awesome. I'm in love with all of it.
Yeah, but at the same time, you then get Helamir and give you that look.
She won't be looking at me, but we can all pretend that she might. I mean,
I
get
loved
it.
her dress here, and I loved how the dress was the opposite coloring of the chalice on the table.
It made me want to do a puzzle.
Oh, gosh, where did that come from?
It looks like puzzle pieces.
You and Eris, I swear.
Where did that come from? It's freaking great. Oh,
look at it. It looks like it's an incomplete puzzle. Like this is the total reverse of the Major League game where they're trying to in this case put the pieces on her.
Gotcha. Gay Phantom of the Opera, Will in the outfit. Yeah, all right. Mm-hmm.
There you go. Back your Phantom.
Yeah, it's awesome. Gay Phantom. It's awesome. Okay, so we hit up the final battle sequence because obviously Percival goes and gets to the Grail. Kasha, can you just please pull up whenever you have the tree, the shot of the tree, and all the knights on the tree? Because that imagery just hits me in the every time. Every time the tree is. And I also will admit, I remember seeing this. So I didn't see it in the theater, but I would have seen this in middle school. So this would have been more like maybe 10. Let's see, that would have came out in 81. So that's 10. I couldn't have been. I definitely wasn't older than 13. So 11 or 12, probably. The idea that the knights were in the tree wasn't an image that I had thought of when I thought about King Arthur and the knights. I didn't know the story enough to know this was a thing. And it was shocks. When you see that, it's just shocking. I love it.
And the whole thing with Percival and the Grail, finding the Grail twice, that's supposedly what happened. So this is lore book accurate. He supposedly found the Grail twice. The first time he didn't know what the heck to do, and it scared the crap out of him. The second time he was like, no, I am a knight. I am worthy. I am pure of heart. I am everything you've been looking for. I will take the Grail to Arthur.
But I still wish it had been more. I feel like he did all that, and it was such a struggle, and there was so much allegory and things like that. And then he gets there, and it's like, hey, here, yo, have a sip of this. And then it's all, you know what I mean? It's done. And he's just hanging out next to the throne. It's just wait, that was a bigger story.
Yeah, this is
the point, though, to be that temptation. Everything you want is right within your grasp.
No, but I think what she's saying is what we said at the very beginning, right? This is where you wish you had more movie. This
Yeah.
is the problem with this movie is you end up with like rushing from bit to bit to bit because it's just there's so much going on and you just don't get enough. And even though Percival has a pretty big part to play in this final act, it's just like each sequence is just too short. You just want more context. You want more details. You want to see other knights. Like, how'd you end up in the tree? Like, oh, there's
What
so
happened
much.
to Liam Neeson? What happened
Yeah.
to Patrick Stewart? What happened to all these people that he had met, all the knights he had brought together? He had a whole round table of them. You don't get those answers. You get your answers with less than a handful of them.
Because none of this is getting into all the other stories. Like I think there's also what Percival and the Green Knight. Just so many other little stories of all these other knights that have come along that unfortunately we frankly don't have time for, and that's the most unfortunate thing of this ultimately. Like
Right.
I wish we could spend more time with these characters.
Agreed.
We would hang out.
Well, again, we're back to the dream would have been to, see this come into more like a trilogy, to see, a real deeper, broader scoped story to play homage. And then instead what we always get is these I don't want to derail our stream into rant and rave about how bad all the King Arthur movies are, because it's always about redefining Arthur or trying to make him something that he's not, and just
The super sword.
I don't even watch most of them. I don't even know the last time. We'd have to pull up a list of all the ones that have come out, because every time I see another one, it's like that in Robin Hood. Every time I see there's another one, I always just kind of roll my eyes like, yeah, whatever. I don't believe you're making a good one. So I'd have to hear a whole bunch of people talk about how great it is for me to give it a chance.
They needed to stop making Robin Hood movies after Kevin Costner and
Morgan Freeman.
Oh, dear
oh
Lord.
yeah, and then also
Slater.
well, the other one I was going to go to is Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like those two movies were basically I think capstones on the Robin Hood story.
Yeah, once
Hey,
you get
that Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie was hot when I was a kid.
Everybody
wanted to see
massive.
it.
That song. Oh,
Yeah.
that song.
Everything I
Earworm,
do, I
I'm
do
glad
it
I missed
for
that.
you.
Oh, it was everywhere. And Sean Connery showing up at the end, brother.
Yeah.
That was a cheer in the theater moment. Like place goes bonkers when King Richard shows up. Like, yeah. And Christian Slater is so out of place in that movie. They just ripped him off of his popularity from other things and just stick him in. And you're like, it doesn't fit. It doesn't matter.
It's the coolest line in the movie, though, at the
Yeah,
end when he's like, F me, they cleared it.
Yeah.
I was like,
And then
Men in
Costner in the
Tights.
beginning. Yeah, Men in Tights with Carrie Ellis is that's when you go full circle, right? You've gone from Errol Flynn to that. It's like, we're done. Just stop. You're not contributing anything to the story. Just let it go.
And that and then that has to parody the Costner film by then bringing in Patrick Stewart to be the king.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. We could easily make a mini series. I know there's a Sam Neill Merlin series. I've never watched that.
It's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
Buckle up your expectations when it comes to the Sam Neill Merlin the movie, the sequel, and
I just don't do it. I'll be perfectly honest. It's Arthur and Robin Hood are sort of like, I'm with Ironcaster. I'm like, there's sort of like enough of good stuff that I don't need to subject myself to anything else. And I can't tell you how many times I've almost watched that Merlin and just like, never mind.
Well, that one thing, you got Helen Bonham Carter, you've got what's his name is Flick. You've got, I can't remember the name of the chick who played Map. You've got some really good people in Merlin. But it's also like, man, you guys got a bunch of stuff. You should have just like, if you're gonna watch it, watch the original like TV version. Don't watch the hour and a half version where you're like, oh, it's Merlin. Oh, the end. And you're like, what the hell happened? It's supposed to be like a 4-hour TV movie. Watch it like it was intended.
So you're saying we should stick with if I watch any of the TV miniseries, I watch the one with Sam Neill and Rutger Hauer and stuff like that.
Yes,
That's the one to
you
watch,
that's the one to watch.
Right.
Is Sam Neill, Rutger Hauer. Anything after that is like,
Because there's another whole mini series that they did since then, and that one,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know what that one. It's like the mid to late 2000s. They did one. I'm not watching that either. So yeah, I've had a chance to watch both of these, and I have never really watched them. So yeah, he's saying not my thing. I'm with you there. Sax, what's going on, brother? Love this movie so much. Yeah, you're not alone, brother. So good.
Oh. A unique opinion about this movie.
What's that?
I was making a joke. I said a unique opinion about this movie. Oh, it's a great movie. Everybody on here is like, oh, it's great, it's great, it's great.
Yeah.
I love this movie. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Think you're in good company, Zach.
I confess I thought about trolling hard and saying I didn't like this movie and coming in with a hot take, but I loved it so much I couldn't. I was like, I'm going to fail in like 5 seconds.
Yep.
Okay, you got to keep that going. It's like the Karate Kid thing, messing with the Dega over, Johnny's the hero. Daniel's the little.
We should have made Morgana the hero. She is our female champion.
Strike me down, Morgana. I should be more
Mordred.
powerful than I ever was in life.
Boob armor.
Although when
the boob
she
armor
turns
is?
into an old lady.
Do you guys know that the boob armor is at his house? He kept the boob armor. The
I would
director.
have too.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, hey, does this fit? If it does.
I didn't even look to see, is his wife in the movie? Because his son and his daughter are in the movie. I don't know if the wife is too. I wouldn't be shocked. This guy's just like, he had to figure stuff out. He was on the cheap, man. And just, yeah, he has his daughter is the one chick, and the son is running around in one of the other shots. It's just like, what? It's okay. So it wouldn't shock me if his wife's in here too. So, but yeah, the boob armor. He has the boob armor. Oh yeah, the little weird boy Mordred. That's his son, Charlie. Yeah. There's all sorts of crazy stories in this movie, and yeah, when she morphs into creepy old lady, it's like, whoa.
That's what she's been the whole time.
Yeah.
So that is what she really looks like. That is
Right.
what all this has cost her. This is all the damage that's been done. Because you see, when she takes the power from Merlin, she is normal. She does not morph out. She does not change shape. She does not super age. All the shit she's been doing. This is why Merlin was like, okay, I just did this thing. I'm going to go to sleep for the next year. Wake me back up when I'm recharged. Is because he knew everything takes a toll, and every time you do something, it takes something from you.
Yep.
Well, if she's constantly, and I'll not just throwing that shit out there, this is the result.
Yep. Yeah, Dawn, it's so weird because she has a quote where she talks about it, like doing, getting graped by Gabriel Byrne in front of your father. She's like, these people,
What?
Yeah, she don't care. Well, that was the scene, right? He kept his armor on, right? Yeah, that's the
okay.
daughter.
So you're talking about the Maury Povich chick that's like, you're the father.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow,
That's
did
the
not
daughter.
know that.
Yeah, and
So
she just picks her stuff up and leaves the scene, and Gabriel Byrne's allowed to do his thing with a pillow. It's like they're not in the scene really together. It's like a couple shots, but not really. It's like, it's such a strange story. Yeah.
So homeboy's sitting there like filming his own daughter while he's got the armor and she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
No, I would have been like, you know what?
Wow.
Where's my cinematographer at? All right, you're going to direct this scene. I'll be back in 10.
Yeah.
This shit better be done, filmed, wrapped by the time I get back.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very
No
odd.
second takes, nothing.
And then
And I wonder-
and then go over to homeboy and be like, if there are any cuts on her body from that armor, there's gonna be a cut on your ass when you're done.
And I always wondered, did he think that this would make her a career? Like, is there a thought that it would, make her into a big time actress or something? I don't know. I really don't. I know she was in, I think, another one of his films.
She's probably the worst actress in the whole movie.
I have to look it up. I can't look it up while we're doing this because my computer will buffer. But it's the World War II one that he did. It's like 2 words. It's something. I don't know. It's a World War II movie. She's in that one too.
You're the father.
So, but yeah, I think she
Uther,
just.
don't let him take the child. I just sat here and realized that you violated me, but now I love you. Don't let him take the boy.
I'm just realizing that we just glossed over the fact that you made a Maury Povich reference in the middle
Oh
of
yeah,
all that. By
you
the
are
way,
the
we just
father.
glossed completely over that. By the way,
Oh,
yes, it's the best. All right, let's drive towards a close of like ratings and reviews and concepts and legacy and
it,
stuff because we
just,
only like 15 minutes.
I want to at least get this shot up because this is so perfectly
Mm-hmm.
thematic of everything you can expect. You like you could tell at a glance. Like the sun is obviously supposed to be the sun setting on Arthur's empire, on Arthur's
Yep.
kingdom. But
Yep.
and with this, he will have no heir to follow him.
Yep.
Percival didn't throw the sword in the lake either, not the first time. I
Yeah.
Really
went
could.
back and talked to him again, and he was like, "You threw the sword in the lake." Yes, sir. No, you didn't. Because if you did, you wouldn't be telling me this right now.
I liked that he threw it back in the same lake we saw at the beginning of the movie. I really liked that continuity, that it was
Look,
not just somewhere.
we only had about a half hour to film on that lake, so we got to make a couple shots out of this.
I didn't want to think of it that way. I was trying to think of it in a more positive light. You ruined it, Ironcaster.
I wouldn't lie to you.
Okay, so let's see. Who should we start with? Let's start with Loki this time. We don't ever start with Loki. Loki, where is this movie for you? Is this like an every year for you? Is it? What's the score on this?
Yeah, as long as I can, like, I mean, I'm getting kind of long in the tooth. Yeah, as long as I can think of it. I love this movie. So, like I said, I got this movie. I'd watched it once, I think, on cable when my parents didn't know, and I'd order it. And my dad, who was, I mean, my dad like read to me every night. It was like, oh, you want to hear about King Arthur? Let's read about King Arthur. You want to read about the Green Knight? Let's read about. You want to read about Percival? Let's read about Percival. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I see this on cable and I watch it. I'm like, this is great. My dad didn't like this movie. Why didn't he like this movie? Because he couldn't like this movie. Because my mother wouldn't let him watch it. Why wouldn't I not? Because you are the father. And all the craziness that's in the beginning of this movie, and the boy doesn't need to see that. Well, he saw aliens. Well, he doesn't need to see that. So, I mean, it's one of the first movies I bought on VHS. It's one of the first movies I bought on DVD. It's one of the first movies I bought on Blu-ray. I do not have it on 4K. I do not know if it's out on 4K.
Oh, I don't think so. I think I put a link in the description of the latest copy, which I think is Blu-ray.
Yeah,
So
so I've
link is
got
in
the
the
Blu-ray.
description if you don't have a copy. I think that's the. All right, so here's a little hack though for those of you who don't own this copy. So I found a DVD copy at a thrift store for $1. Then you can log into your Vudu account and you can pay $5 or
Yep.
$2 and have it upgraded to a nice digital copy. So I at least got the ball rolling till I found an affordable Blu-ray. So
You have
but
to
yeah.
have a disc drive, though. Remember
Pops,
that.
I will undercut you by $1.
Okay.
You go to the library and borrow it.
Oh, that's true. I guess I could do that. I want to own a physical copy. I didn't have a physical copy, so that's why I bought one. But I was shocked that you can do. You have to search it separate. I haven't figured out how to link when I'm in the Fandango Voodoo thing, but they have disc to digital, and you can
Yep.
just adapt your disc to digital for a couple dollars or whatever. So
I'm gonna give it an 8. It's got longevity. It's got legs. It's got heart. It's got love. It's got violence. It's got decapitation. It's got limbs flying off. It's got you are the father. It's got women. It's got. I mean, it's kind of got a lot of everything. It's got war. It's got friendship. It's got brotherhood. It's got all these things, and all these things you're like, I want. I want to know a group of guys like that, or I want to do this, or I want. It's got it all. It's got it all for you. Why does it get an 8? Because there are things that are kind of weak. I had no idea Homegirl was the daughter of the director. That makes more sense because I've always been like, she is the weakest damn part of this movie. You're the Baba and Merlin. He took the baby, and oh, go get our baby, Uther. I love you. You just found out that he was your baby's daddy. You didn't even know before that he was your baby's daddy. And now you're like, Uther, don't let him take the child. I love you. Anyway, it's a solid 8. Solid 8. Absolutely rewatchable. One of those movies you can watch once a year, every 6 months. We used to have it on like repeat at my place. There was always a movie going. This would be one of those movies at my place. People would come in. I wouldn't be even watching the movie. It'd just be on because of sound and movie. So yeah, totally watch this many.
So people walk in, they're either hearing Latin being spoken backwards, or people are saying "kumite."
Kumite, Kumite, or Gremlins, or whatever the hell I had on VHS that I was watching.
Ong Bak.
Half the time it was Star
No,
Trek.
it's Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Hell Comes to Frogtown.
That's
Highlander. Highlander was another one that I watched. The original Highlander, not the damn Renegade. Or
There's
the
only
third
one.
one.
There's
that could
only
be
one.
the-
There is only one. Ironcaster, where's this go for you, my friend? This is definitely in your wheelhouse.
So I'm coming in with the admission that this was the first time I've seen Excalibur.
Whoa!
This was
I
one
did not know that.
This was one I was wanting to get to. I've been meaning to get to. I think it's in my 1,000 movies books to get to, and I knew that I wanted to save it for a special occasion. And I could think of no better time than to sit down with some good friends to have some laughs over this.
You called us a special occasion, everyone.
It's Tuesday.
Man, all right, first time. I'm
So
giddy.
So for that initial reception to it, I think there's some fantastic stuff in it. The actors are brilliant. Patrick Stewart's always charming as always. But you've kind of got that issue, like I said, of pacing. We're trying to put too much into the runtime. This is it's one of those things where it's kind of running into the problems Dune had, where you're trying to put far too much story into one film, and at that point you have to start making some sacrifices. And while I enjoy it, I see some problems with it, and I don't know, maybe it's one of those things where there was good intentions. This is one I'm absolutely gonna want to go check out. Pick up my Arthurian book and do some more reading, and it makes me want to pick up the book and get in and read some more. This is going to go into the regular rotation, I think, with some of the other 80s sword and sorcery movies, because you got to. Also because I'm pretty sure Loki was Merlin.
Rest in the arms of the dragon.
Well, approximately what kind of score would you give it then?
I would say this is probably another 7. Okay. It maybe with some repeated viewings. Once I start getting to be able to remember a few more lines from this, it'll go up in my books, I'm sure. But it's a worthwhile 7.
All right,
3.5.
It's only upwards here. All right, SQUEEKA, first time watching.
First time watching.
Give me your run.
I mean, one of my favorite lines is "Dream to some, nightmare to others." I love that line. Freaking love that line. Stole it. First time watching. I mean, I'd give it like an 8.5, 9 for a lot of the reasons that Loki mentioned and Ironcaster. Like the continuity was a little off for me. I was like, I really want this to be not more as in a bunch more shoved in, but more like this should have been a better, like a more separated story. And then, but I loved the special effects. I loved the music. I loved the casting and the costuming and how just real and cringy it was. So, I mean, first time watching, I give it a 9. Guinevere kind of knocks it down to an 8.5 too. And knowing what I know now about some of the things, I'm solidly in the 8 category with Loki. Like, they could have done better. But I mean, I want to watch this again. I could see myself watching this 2 to 3 times a year. I loved this movie. It's easily in my top 5. So yeah, I maybe 8. I mean, first time watching, I think I probably gave it a 9. Knowing what I know now, 8, 8.5.
Awesome. It is a great film. It's a legacy film for sure. You guys in chat, you guys let us know what you think as we start to wrap up here. I'm actually shocked that Ironcaster. I didn't know Ironcaster had never seen it before, so I feel like another special moment that we.
I know. I don't
Well,
feel
then-
so alone. Thanks, Ironcaster.
It's crazy, but it seems like it was so on brand for Ironcaster. I just no way I would have thought. You know what I mean? Some of the other ones we come up with, I get it, like and stuff. But this is a solid, 3.5 out of 5 for me. A solid 7. I lean a little higher because I always feel like I'm a little more biased. But I get where the critics are coming from with that last half of the movie. It's just jam packed of just too much stuff with hardly any through lines. It's just stuff happening, and I get what they're going for, and I totally don't bash John Boorman for what happened to his original 3-hour probably plus vision, and they did the best they could to just get as much of it in there. And it's a shame because I think if this was like 5 years later, even if this was just if this era of stuff was happening just even 5 years later, he probably would have gotten a 2 or 3 movie deal out of it all or something. They probably would have gone back to the, you know what I mean? But I just don't think that was going to happen then. And he knew that. He's talked a lot about that kind of stuff. So, yeah, man, it's good stuff, man. It's yeah, I'll stand on that. Yeah, it's about right. Now that I own a physical copy, it kind of goes into like the annual rotation. I don't know yet. I haven't owned it long enough to know if it's a once a year, twice a year, but for sure. So Don says 10 out of 10. Yeah, some folks, this is just, I know Wakazashi loves it. Zach loves it. They've done, these guys have done streams on that as well. They love it even more so than me, and I totally respect it and get that. I do. So with that said, folks, hopefully you had a good time reminiscing. Hopefully it stirred up some love for you to go out there and watch it. Beard's going 8. Merlin Nightmare Jump Scares. That's good. I like the scoring system. Merlin Nightmare Jump Scares scoring list. That seems like it is appropriate for like Halloween or Gremlins. How many Merlin Nightmare jump screens do we get? All right. Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't care. We're all up for it. Zach's going to go 9-5.
I said I know what he's talking about.
9-5. He takes. Zach's. You have to qualify that. Zach, what does the 0.5 go away for? Is it the daughter? Is it Guinevere? Is it that you could see the fact that the smoke coming out of Heather Mirren at the end is actually not actually in her mouth? It's next to it because it's this. Is it the button on the light staff? I mean, how nitpicky
Is
are
it
you?
the fact that halfway through the movie you're like, okay, this is becoming an endurance trial? Once you get to the crusading, you're like, okay, this movie should have been over like 20 minutes ago. What is going on?
Yeah,
Because that could be an entire movie in and of itself.
Yeah.
100%. It feels like there should just be 3 movies. Like I get it. I totally get it. So, Ironcaster, mech and Jack last night. What's going on, brother? What's the agenda going on for you?
Well, let's see. Come up here in a little bit. I'll be over with T-shirt for the week for our little Tuesday with Geeks, where I think maybe we'll be getting into this little news about Diamond Distribution filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Okay.
So,
boy,
R.I.P. to the comic industry, maybe.
Something was bound to break.
It was only a matter of time, and unfortunately for everyone, it's now. There was never a good time for it to happen, but everyone kept kicking the can down the road, and, well, there's no more road for them to kick it down.
So who actually filed, or did they file?
It is... Give me 1 second, I can pull this up for you.
All right, while you're looking, Don's talking about how this got them into LARPing, doing some actual full plate mail. That's amazing. So crazy. Good. By the way, Beard, I didn't think it was cheesy. I was just trying to make sure I interpreted it properly. It's like it kind of blows my mind. There's a whole new scale of how many Merlin jump scares there are. That's an interesting perspective. So I got it. I'm good.
So to answer your question, we did get a letter from the president of Diamond, Chuck Parker, where he had been going over it, and he basically told everyone about the details of what was going on. So we have a big story within the nerd world that isn't just everyone mad at Wizards of the Coast again, or Paizo, or whoever the bee's nest is that this week to get whacked.
Yeah, but Penguin and Random House, that stuff will just we're just making them richer. That's what's going to end up happening here. I don't think there's another third party that needs to step up and do distribution properly. And the irony is there are some people that are doing it right. So whoever those people are is who needs to be in charge. Because I got to tell you what, if you look at the grading on like Ninja Turtle comic books like Last Ronin, who ships those? Because whoever ships those, they're the ones that should be in charge. Because those you can find 9.9s regularly of Last Ronin books, and that's unheard of in the industry. So whoever's shipping that stuff is who we would want. But I don't know. R.I.P. Diamond, you did it to your freaking selves. So yeah. That's a good story, though. I got to make sure I check that out. I'll get your mark. I usually don't get a chance to hear that until I'm driving home. So I'll have to listen to it. So good to know. Good to know, my friend.
Yep.
Loki, I'm going to miss your show tomorrow live. So I'll have to listen to what tease me a little bit about my YouTube talk. What am I going to get into?
A topic that no one wants to talk about. And that we're going to talk about. Because I just said screw it. And I'm going to talk about it anyway. So, there will be drama. There will be cake. There will be people telling you not to eat the cake or let them eat cake or whatever. But we'll have a blast tomorrow morning because I will definitely say what other people won't.
I can't wait. I can't wait. SQUEEKA, is there another fun SQUEEKA and beard time on Thursday?
Yes.
Awesome.
We do 7 Days to Die after Robin's stream on Thursdays, like around 9:30ish, 9:45ish, around there. Yeah, we will have one this Thursday, and then I don't know what I'm doing after that. I don't try to play it by ear. I try to sneak into Loki's chats, but he catches me every time.
Sneaky.
Well, I gotta say thank you, and I gotta say Skull, and I gotta let you know that you are appreciated. So thank you.
Yeah, I don't do it for the.
I know you don't, but we appreciate it anyway.
Absolutely.
And then I'll be back here Tuesday for. Oh, don't tell me. I saw the picture of it. Oh! Think of it. Street Fighter. Yes.
Street Fighter.
Am I right?
Jean-Claude Van Damme shenanigans.
I knew it was Jean-Claude. I couldn't remember that. I could see the picture of it in my head.
For me, it was
everybody
Tuesday.
who won. They won. It was fun to hear her talk about Bloodsport. Everyone said we're going to do another one. This guy above me said we're going to put Street Fighter on the list anyway. So guess how it moved to the front of the 2025 list, and I have to suffer through Street Fighter, and suffering it is because I cannot stand this movie. Oh dear Lord!
Raw Julie is the only good thing about this movie.
For you,
well, Raw
it was
Julie
the
was
worst
good at
movie of the
everything.
year. For me, it was Tuesday. Well, don't forget Zangief. Zangief is a delight in the movie too.
I can't wait to sit and watch this. It's just I feel like I should just do the camera on my face watching this. Like, oh dear Lord, it's just.
You should record it, and then put it in the intro. Just have a whole bunch of pops doing like.
Yeah.
I have done a lot of those.
No. What you need to do is cut to a little clip of yourself with the phone in hand as you're watching it. You're just, Ironcaster, why'd you make me watch this?
Well, that's what happens when I'm watching it. Like that literally is me working, and usually I have my desk and it's set up right next to me, and I'm watching it, and there'll be a scene that's so tragically bad that I pause it or turn it off for a minute, and I walk away, and I'll take a 20-minute break, and I'll come back and be like, okay, here we go. We're going right back to it again. So yeah, but I will say it's not as bad as Shark Side of the Moon. It's not as bad as Highlander 2.
So what you're saying is we need to have a little fun fact like MTV trivia thing pop up of how many times Pops had to walk away from the film.
Oh yeah, there's definitely an over under on that for sure, 100%. Yeah,
It got 2 out of 5 walkaways.
Okay,
Pause. I need to go.
I'll make a little
Yeah,
note of that. I can do that. I'm keeping a ledger. I don't know if you guys heard me do this. I know I did it with the Twitter feed, and I talked about my members. I'm keeping a ledger of all the movies and TV shows that I watch, and I was shocked because I got this stupid thing from Vudu, and it's like, you've watched X number of hours of movies this year. Whatever. I'm like, okay, well, I don't watch everything on your app, so I have probably watched a movie a day in 2024. Like, I've just watched like 300 movies, and I'm like, you don't think about, like, when we do this. I don't want to say we do it for a living, but we do this as our little thing. It's like, we watch a lot of freaking stuff, guys. We really do. So I started keeping a ledger, and I think it was on the 10th of the month. I had already been like 12 movies and 5 TV episodes in or something like that. I was like, it's a movie a day. It's about, because some days you're watching 2 or 3, right? You just have them going, and Street Fighter is going to be one of those because it's like 90 minutes. So yeah, that's going to be when I get through that. I got to watch something good as a palate cleanser. That's when I need to watch Ferris Bueller again, or I got to watch one of those that's going to be like, I know I love to clean the palate, because Street Fighter is going to be rough.
Well, we watched Mortal Kombat. It was only inevitable that we were going to get to Street Fighter.
That's how you got it on the list.
I love Mortal Kombat.
That's how you got it on the list. I knew there was an explanation.
And for all the good movies, it's important to throw in a bad one every now and then, just to remind yourself how good the good movies are. You need to be able to value and weigh the standards.
Oh, all right.
There is no like weighing. There's no balance. The amount of shitty shark movies I've seen because of you far outweighs the any good shark movie I've ever seen.
There's a shark movie that we sat through that didn't have a shark or the cocaine that I was promised in the shark movie. All right. With that, we're closing, guys. We will see you next week for Street Fighter. Make sure you check out those links. Make sure you enjoy that stuff. If you don't have a copy, folks, I did put the link in the description. If you guys don't have a copy at Amazon, get yourself a copy. But look, be blessed. Talk hard. Till next time. We're out of here.
Bob Ross, you'll never see me tripping. Got the vision, I don't even need assistance.